Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an ancient, totally mind-bending manuscript that claimed to reveal exactly what happens to the human soul after death. We're looking at a text known as the Apocalypse of Paul. Now, this isn't your standard dry historical document. Oh no, it's a deeply vivid, intensely dramatic tour through the absolute extremes of the afterlife. It heavily influenced how early readers literally visualized divine justice and mercy. What awaits the soul after death? Well, that eternal question is the driving force behind this entire narrative. You see, this text was designed as a visceral warning to humanity, pulling back the curtain on the cosmic scales of good and evil. It's just a fascinating look into the historical psychology of morality. People back then wanted to know, does my behavior today actually matter tomorrow? The Apocalypse of Paul answers that question with a resounding, terrifying, and honestly sometimes beautiful yes.
Part 1. The discovery of a secret manuscript. So let's start with the incredible, almost cinematic story of how this text was supposedly discovered. The manuscript doesn't just, present its visions out of nowhere. It grounds itself in a highly specific historical framing to give it authority. It places its discovery in the city of Tarsus during the consult of Theodosius the Younger. It claims an angel appeared at night to a man living in what was once St. Paul's house, ordering him to break open the foundation. When the guy ignored it, thinking it was just a trick, the angel returned and literally whipped him into obedience. Seriously, he finally dug up a marble box containing not just this revelation, but the actual shoes Paul wore while preaching. Fearful, the man handed it to a judge, who then sent it sealed directly to Emperor Theodosius. It's a brilliant little framing device to validate the text's authenticity.
Part 2. The Cosmic Accusers of Humanity.
Okay, so with the text open and validated, Paul's visionary journey kicks off. But get this, it doesn't start in heaven or hell. It starts with a striking cosmic courtroom scene where the elements of nature themselves are putting humanity on trial. We see nature personified, actively begging God for permission to wipe us out. The sun wants to punish our impiety, the moon demands justice for hidden crimes like murder, and the sea is practically begging to recreate the Great Flood. Yet the text points out that God patiently restrains them, insisting on giving humanity just a little more time to repent. It paints this picture of a universe barely holding back its wrath against human corruption.
Next, Paul is shown the unseen spiritual machinery working around us every single day. On one side, we have the good angels. They rejoice at human goodness and gently guide righteous souls to paradise alongside the archangel Michael. But then there's the stark contrast, the angels of punishment. These guys are pure nightmare fuel. The text specifically describes them as pitiless, with faces full of madness, protruding teeth, eyes burning like the morning star, and literal sparks of fire spitting from their hair and mouths. These are the terrifying beings waiting for those who reject the good path.
Part 3. The Vision of the Third Heaven.
After seeing those spiritual forces at work, Paul is suddenly snatched up into the third heaven. This is presented as a place of sublime, almost unimaginable beauty and reward for the righteous, standing in total contrast to the darkness he's going to see later. The crucial point here is the sheer sensory overload of this paradise. According to the vision, the righteous arrive at the radiant city of Christ, and it's not just sitting on some fluffy clouds. It has very specific, fantastical geography. We're talking golden gates inscribed with the names of the righteous, and 12 glowing walls. Instead of water, the rivers flow with milk, honey, wine, and oil. There are trees bearing 12 different kinds of fruit, and this pristine valley of water called Lake Asherusa, where the repentant are washed clean. It is the ultimate, absolute utopian vision of reward. While he's in this incredible paradise, Paul meets the ancient prophets Enoch and Elijah. And this brilliantly illustrates the emotional core of the text, because even in the middle of this perfect city, Enoch and Elijah express a deep, poignant sorrow. They look at all the magnificent wonders prepared for humanity and just lament that people have forgotten the divine word. They position themselves as eternal witnesses to a divine promise that humanity just keeps ignoring.
Part 4. Infernal Punishments for Sins. Now, from the heights of the third heaven, the narrative takes a terrifying plunge across the cosmic ocean into a dark abyss. Here it details a highly specific, brutal, and meticulously organized system of cosmic justice.
The manuscript maps out punishments that perfectly fit the crimes, a literary vice we call contrapasso. Notice how hyper-specific this is. People who gossiped in church, they aren't just burning, they are submerged exactly to their lips in a river of fire. Corrupt priests are pierced with hooks. Those who mocked the word chew their own tongues. And look at the greedy monks who vowed poverty but hoarded wealth. They are hung upside down while molten gold literally pours from their mouths into the fire. I mean, the text leaves absolutely no ambiguity about what happens to hypocrites.
As the descent continues, the grim cataloging of sins goes on. Usurers or predatory lenders sit on thrones made of snakes while their money burns their hands to ash. Adulterous men are hung by their genitals and consumed by worms. Heretics who spoke falsely hang by their hands with their tongues on fire. And for the unbelievers, there's no fire at all, actually, just a deep, dark pit of eternal isolation. Every single sin has an exacting, horrific physical counterpart designed to perfectly balance the moral scales of the universe.
Part 5. Sunday, Rest, and Grace. Now, just when the horrors of this abyss seem completely unbearable and Paul himself is weeping at the sheer scale of human suffering, the text introduces a fascinating and, honestly, super surprising twist of divine mercy. The guiding angel reveals that on Sundays, absolutely all the souls in hell are granted a temporary reprieve from their torment. Yep, every single week, the fires pause and the suffering stops for a day of rest, before starting all over again on Monday. This is such a profound detail. It really highlights the ancient human psychological need for hope. Even in a text designed to completely terrify readers into good behavior, the author just couldn't bear to construct a universe entirely devoid of mercy. Part 6. The Final Choice. Having witnessed the absolute extremes of the afterlife, the rivers of milk in the glowing city, and those terrifying rivers of fire in the dark abyss, Paul is left grappling with everything he has seen. Seeing this vast, terrifying architecture of suffering, he just breaks down. He weeps and asks the guiding angel the exact question you or I would probably be thinking at this point: why? Why must there be so many punishments? Why is the universe structured with such an immense capacity for pain?
The angel answers him with a chillingly simple ultimatum. God gave a choice, life or death. Whoever chose death received it. And wow, that frames the entire apocalyptic vision not just as a prophecy, but as an urgent moral warning. The text argues that the punishments aren't just some arbitrary cruelty. They're simply the ultimate logical consequence of human free will. If you spend your life choosing the darkness of corruption, greed, and cruelty, well, the universe ultimately honors that choice.
As Paul wakes up, full of fear but also grace, he writes down this vision so the world will know. And the text leaves its ancient readers, and us too, with a haunting final question. It's the ultimate ancient ultimatum. If you were shown the absolute extremes of the beyond right now, the spark-spitting angels and the rivers of fire alongside the golden gates and trees of life, how would that change the way you treat your neighbor today? Which path are you choosing right now? Think about that for a second and keep exploring the incredible ways humanity has tried to understand the great beyond.